Cool beans.
Cool beans.
We're in frame. Cool beans. All right. So we just got out of watching Eyes Wide Shut. Just watched it like 40 minutes ago, and getting out of it, it's every Stanley Kubrick movie makes me feel like almost like intoxicated after. Like for the next hour, it's like for the next couple of days, it's all you can think about. It's just a super heavy experience coming out of every one.
Yep.
It was like that for 2001, and then for this, it's just like it leaves you like, what just happened? What did I just watch? A heavy feeling in your chest. But lately.
Well,
Logan, thanks for being here. We got Logan
Thanks.
on it because we're going to talk about some crazy shit tonight. I've just been, for the last little while, maybe the past year, but I've been really infatuated with, like, some high society stuff, like what happens on the other side of the curtain and, like, in those gated communities, like, what happens, what goes down. Ever since watching, like, Get Out opened my eyes to a lot of weird shit. Get Out was really good. And then looking into all the stuff, one movie that just always came up was Eyes Wide Shut. So I've been wanting to watch it. I wanted to watch it with Bruce and Logan, but Bruce watched it by himself the other day. So we got together and we decided to do this little podcast about Eyes Wide Shut. And Logan.
Shout out to Bruce.
Shout out to Bruce. He's not here tonight, but he wishes he was. But I really liked it, actually. It was a little bit slow at parts, but I liked the movie. Stanley Kubrick's last movie, obviously. We all know the controversy, basically. He died the same week as it finished, because it's that wild. Logan basically takes it away better than I can on that whole side because he knows all of it.
I don't know any of it. That's the
knows.
crazy thing. There's so many rabbit holes.
It's like plugged into this guy's brain. Yeah, he knows it all.
I know it.
I
know where they live. And we're gonna get together. And we're gonna get the guillotine.
Before we were talking about how Scientology wraps up into this film with Nicole Kidman and Tom Cruise. I didn't even know they were married at the time when they made this. But there are some crazy scenes that when they're having sex. And then she films that other sex scene with another guy, and they're all married at the time. And they got the roles. Like I don't understand how this movie was even made the way it was. You know what I mean? With everything wrapped up in it. I don't understand how they did. I don't understand how they were like, okay, we're gonna film this cult scene, and everybody's gonna do this. They're all gonna be naked. Like I don't understand how that conversation comes up, and how they're like, yeah, like that sounds good. Like let's make it. Let's all be a part of it, and then let's throw it out into the world. That's a crazy movie to make. What we watched. You know what I mean?
It feels like in parts you're experiencing what the director went through as the Tom Cruise moves through it, with people being like, you don't understand. If you put this, you don't even know how much trouble you're in.
Yeah.
You don't know how much trouble you're in. And he's like, no, I just want to look around.
Yeah.
So it's like part of it feels kind of like that's like that fourth wall breaking, because it's like this almost is this film. It's like he understood the consequences of being like, no, I've been the piano player, so to speak. He's like, as Kubrick is like, I've been at these things.
The piano player being
I'm not exposing who they are. I'm not exposing this.
The piano player being the character in the movie who kind of reveals to Tom Cruise, the main character, all
Gets
this
everything
crazy
rolling.
shit that gets everything rolling. That there's this crazy occult high society party that Tom Cruise somehow just ends up rolling and falling right into it.
As sort of like revenge sex kind of thing, because he's sort of pissed at his wife and he wants a crazy time, and so he's like, you know what, I'm going to go to a place that's probably, he's thinking maybe an exclusive club with neon lights and glass on the walls and just really exclusive girls. But what he gets himself into is this theatrical thing of what...
Not what he expected. It's definitely not what I expected.
What the audience expects, not what I think anyone was expecting. I think everyone saw the trailers for this movie and was expecting something that was more a fast-paced sexual drama with lots of... but it's a very much like drawn-out... The imagery, always with Kubrick movies, what's going on in the background, what's going on the walls around them, where it's set, sort of the mind and the eye behind, have myself start here with this in frame and have him move through, and then when they're talking, he does a lot of stuff with like horns on the background, so the stuff in the background be sort of... He's brilliant at framing the people the way he wants, with the thing behind
framing
him,
in particular.
and it's just like his... Every movie of his is so, like what you said at the beginning was like, it feels like you're sort of shaken afterwards. I forget how you put.
Well, yeah, at the end you're just like you're a little bit shook for sure.
And this is the effect of that. It's so compelling, his movies. You get so drawn into them. The way that that object at the end, you're always looking really deep in his movies when you're watching his movies, and it's like exactly, like he keeps the here kitty, like don't just take this as a movie, people. This is everything he does is this kind of multi-layered thing.
Because like each scene too, like some of the scenes in this movie are kind of boring, and the dialogue kind of seems a little bit strange at first, but then and the way they deliver it is really slow. But the more you go on, it's like, oh, this is getting somewhere, and then at the end, it's like, this is an intense scene all of a sudden. And that happens throughout the entire movie.
It's the context of like once it's over, it's like okay, so that now we're at this. So it's like this little pressure keg of sexual desires and pressures and sort of the naturals and the unnatural sexual stresses sort of powder keg him into this place where, because he is so proud of himself being you can see his interest and devotion to high society with how often he's showing his doctor badge. He's showing himself off
good call.
all the time.
I never actually clued into that.
He's so into labels that he's just flashing this thing.
The doctor thing was
He's throwing
everywhere.
his dick out every chance he gets. He's just showing the thing.
And he's not even close to being as high as the people in the high society, but he's still like a high esteemed doctor with like a gorgeous wife and a good family and a nice apartment. Still just all the painting on the walls.
Every gorgeous woman, hey look, I'm a doctor. Just so you know.
But there's still something that he wants. Because he has all the money. Because they're loaded. That apartment's like super amazing. Exactly.
So now imagine this narrative. Just keep staying with the role of that. Like imagine you have a beautiful wife at home in a bottle, right? You got a ship in a bottle. You got this beautiful, powerful lightning rod in a bottle, and the power that is of having a beautiful Nicole Kidman in the house, and you're flashing your doctor badge everywhere you go, and you still just don't feel enough. You still got to go to the party. You still got to go with a touch of a hooker. And so I think that the road and sort of the thing that he's kind of getting us as the Tom Cruise character, if you sort of go along with his ride, it's sort of suggesting that he, as someone in the majority of the audience, which is you and I, a doctor to us is holy shit. Look at this guy's goddamn. He has a floor in New York City where he's living, right?
Yeah.
Look, he is high society, but the people he intermingles with, they're so much higher than him.
Yeah.
So this is important because he
but also
has
lower.
lightning in a bottle at home, and he's getting a taste of this on the side and this on the side, and seeing now at this costume shop under the rainbow and all the rainbow symbology through it. We can
literally every scene.
Every scene that's weird has the
almost
rainbow
too
to
much.
it. Yep, to make it just as obvious as hell. We're going down the path of this is my this is the way he's going to suggest the sort of child sex trafficking ring and the sex trade, and how that is something that makes an enormous amount of money, that is just a terribly kept open secret, that constantly, like the as the speech goes on, like the police have their story, the junkie overdoses every day, no one was murdered, don't worry about it. It's kind of like, this is the soft pill he's throwing at this guy, because it's like, no, be straight, she sacrificed herself, there's consequences for what you did.
And that part of the movie for me was a little bit strange when it ends up being there's a naked lady in the whole secret masquerade ball party that warns them and stuff. I definitely thought it was Nicole Kidman. I thought it was what?
Okay.
And the whole time they're kind of hinting at Nicole Kidman being at this party the whole time.
She's present.
And I thought they were going to reveal that at some point during the movie.
Because she starts off naked.
Yeah.
And so the visual of
so it's very weird.
Her naked body is already something that we've already sort of been like, whoa, at the very beginning. He gets that sexual hunger on the plate, ready to go. This is what we're doing. This is what Kubrick does in the beginning of every one of his movies. He'll throw something out that is what my interpretation is. This is what we're going into this movie with. Put these sunglasses on for a second, fella, because this is the story we're going to tell. So in 2001, the very first thing in that one is like 20 seconds of just the deep, that intense orchestra strings on a big black screen, right? Because he's getting you to sort of, you're sitting in anticipation of something powerful and moving, and that thing and that feeling and that thing that you're salivating for is this big black monolith in the moment. And so the movie that then comes on, and then you sort of see the monkeys touching the monolith and everything to do with the big black thing in that weird movie. I think is sort of like he does you can see this clever thing he does. And so Nicole Kidman right on the plate right away is this like yum yum yum, and then you yum after all these other women, and so the suggestion that she might be there is like, it's he does a brilliant way of making us never sure if she was or not.
I thought it was really weird that it was just that girl, when at the first party that they're out with, when he goes with his wife, and there's that lady that's ODing in the bathroom, and he just all he does is say, "Are you okay? Are you good?" and this girl ends up saving his life and sacrificing herself for him at the end.
Well, he spent time with her, probably checked her pulse, probably sat her up, got her water, got her coat, sort of drew her out of the spell. And
but that just seems very strange motivation for her, and at the end for her to like kill herself, basically. You know what I mean?
If this world and sort of that rabbit hole sort of suggests that these people are brought up in it and have been in it their whole lives and are sort of, maybe they are junkies, maybe this is just for money, maybe they've been doing this so many times and they're so sick and they can't get anywhere and they now depend on being abused at these parties to sort of make their ends meet at the end of the year, because it's just
because they're all getting traded around and through multiple
and so you know what,
guys,
fuck it, this guy was a genuinely good guy.
That's another thing that I thought they were going to reveal, maybe happening to Nicole Kidman. I thought she was possibly going to be one of those type of characters, so it definitely subverted my expectations with her whole character. Her character was kind of wacky.
Do you think?
I thought so. Because when, like, that scene where they're in bed and they're smoking that joint.
Yeah.
Like, that dialogue is
acting
a little...
fake stoned?
Yeah. The dialogue's a little bit questionable, and they're definitely fake stoned or whatever. And then she starts having that weird laughing fit, and apparently that's been, like, a thing that her character's done in the past. That's how Tom Cruise brings it up. So she seems like a person that might be...
fucking laughing fit?
A little... she might be a little bit hysterical, and, like...
Okay, totally.
And because in the beginning...
But what's her upbringing?
Because she let that weird, creepy guy come on to her, like, so hard, and the whole time, too, when she was just had a few drinks.
Suave, tobacco smoke, musk smelling.
That guy looked like a lizard.
A deep voice, and he was just like, let me lick your neck.
It was the creepiest thing I've ever seen. Yeah. And, like, how do you not get the fuck out of there?
Yeah, like, I really think that, because the whole time he's talking, there's that string of lights behind him that looks like a long serpent tongue just licking on her neck. That is, like, that's not an accident,
It is very creepy. Yeah. That is one of the creepiest things I've ever
seen. Really, just...
Body language is crazy in some of these movies.
But she's this morsel of food that sort of has been passed around maybe for so long that her... oblivious doctor husband kind of became sort of aware for a moment, and all of the stuff that happens after that party of like Nicole Kidman's dream, and
then she has that mask on the pillow.
Yep, laying there with the mask.
They don't even really mention. They don't show that conversation at all. He just cries.
Because, I mean, you don't know if she had put the mask on the pillow saying, I was there too, or if she's putting the mask on the pillow to say, I found this, you left this behind as you were rushing out this morning and acting weird. I found this weird thing. Don't try and hide shit from me. And so he cries and he's like, I'll tell you everything. This, you don't know. So he sort of crumbles and sort of throws all of his cards on the table because he is, every single turn of his character, he's a novice. Mm-hmm. And so even in that moment, he doesn't really... gamble on like he never straight out asks if you're there. He just stares at her like a crazy person.
Yeah.
Right? He does it like she has to have been.
The way if you should have seen the movie if you're watching this.
Yeah.
But the way all the vibes that I got through the movie, that she was definitely at this party, and that I thought she was the one that ends up speaking up for him and saving him. But I was wrong.
Wrong. Breasticles.
And again, the wrong breasts, because there was some nudity in this movie, which was very tastefully done.
Very, very tastefully done.
Yeah,
It felt like this is probably the same kind of bullshit that goes on at the Hugh Hefner mansion. This is the same kind of bullshit that goes on in a lot of these things.
I thought it was going to be a little bit, because I did read some stuff going in. I thought there was going to be I thought the whole masquerade ball was the ending, so I thought something crazy was going to happen at the end of Tom Cruise, get murdered or some shit. I thought maybe when they were in that circle, they were all just going to have a crazy, a violent sex orgy, more like violence. But when he was walking through the house and they're all having sex, it's pretty chill. There's not even a lot of noise. They're just in mass having sex. It seems pretty tamed back for the most part. But I thought a lot darker shit was going to be happening throughout the whole time. But it really wasn't that.
But I mean, the thing that I said at the beginning.
But there's a lot of stuff that I think is unedited, that is edited out and then left out in this movie.
So they came out in '99, same year as The Matrix,
which blew me away when I heard that.
Yeah, which is so just swallow. This is what he was trying to do then. This is when everything was extreme and edgy and we were pushing the limits and 2000 was around the corner.
Yeah, no doubt.
It's a new day and it's a rebirth.
This feels like it's on the 80s.
This is the red pill, fella. This is what the people are going to swallow, and they're going to learn what's been going on, and it's going to go down. And now in 2018 you get a few Weinstein things that come up, but no one really digs into it. A few Pizzagate things that is dismissed because they own the media and they can make anyone who is onto any sort of sniffing trail of any significance to do with child sex trafficking trafficking is immediately dismissed. But there's always a pedophile ring that's exposed. There's always people getting caught up in it. It's a constant flow of hungry, it's freaks.
Just freaks.
Freaks. If you go for help, you have to be turned in. So like they are sort of stuck, never being able to get help because it's immediately criminalized, as far as I understand. And then you end up in professions where it's like you accidentally are a school teacher or a Santa Claus or a priest or something that's away from adults and around the thing that you're most interested in, like any predator would do. It stalks its prey, and maybe one or two, and then what you learn years later is that these guys will get like 80 kids, and it's like, how did this happen? And it's like, because
people just seem to turn their head to it way too often.
And it's like,
and he was talking about
he was selling pictures, and it's like, this is the crazy shit. Is like, why don't we have so much? Where's Batman for this?
And a lot of people just don't talk about it. They turn their head to it, and they haven't seen movies like that. Probably
parents just want to be like, no, I can't think about
exactly.
That. And it's like, well, why? There's real monsters. Don't you?
Like they'll be parents that like will be like, don't go outside because they'll hear about the
I don't want to hear.
They'll hear about the one story about the person that comes in with that looks for unlocked doors and goes and axe murders the entire family, and they'll hear that and they'll be like, okay, like lock your doors, never watch anything. Like it closes them off to so many things, and they get scared.
But I mean, there's people like the Justin Payne, the guy on YouTube out of Ontario, as far as I understand.
This guy.
The guy that does with his phone, pretends to be underage kids, gets them, films himself talking to these, like he has a YouTube page, Justin Payne, Payne. Check him out, he's wicked. Shout out to that dude. On the topic of like doing something about it. I mean, he sat with the police. There's a lot of controversy around it because it's like you're going to get yourself hurt, and then if he gets himself hurt, it's like, well, this is why we don't do vigilante shit. And I get it, but at the same time, fucking that guy is my favorite person. He is so goddamn cool.
And really what you should just be doing is being vigilant in your own
as far as doing that, I don't know
as you can. But he's going all the way out there. He's making a circle as wide as the whole country. You said that he found somebody like literally in town.
Today on his what's today, the 26th, 25th?
25th,
26th. 26th, there you go.
January.
So check his post on today. He got someone from Nanaimo, British Columbia on the phone talking about how he wants to get his dick sucked by this 14-year-old boy.
Really?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Just crazy shit. Yeah. Crazy shit that they have these little boyfriends on their phone, that these guys can be married men with kids running the soccer team, and at night when he's running out getting a coffee, he's just chatting on the phone with some kid off a chat line about getting his dick sucked.
Or on the team.
Exactly. Fantasizing about the boys on the team, accidentally steps in when they're in the shower a few times. Oops, sorry coach. Oops, coach stepped in on us. This shit.
And more of this stuff, the more podcasts I listen to and stuff, a lot more people end up talking about stuff and end up talking about experiences that they had when they were younger.
Yeah.
And they bring it up and they drudge it up and they're like, I never thought anything about it for a long time, but now when I think back on these things, it's like there's a lot of fucked up shit that happened back then. And I think it's very interesting.
How many times Trump would
how common it is
accidentally step in when the Miss America models were changing? And it's one of the benefits of owning the competition, because I mean that was his whole televised show, right?
Yeah.
And so he would every season step in on these come on, this is the creepy shitty
he's a creep
stuff that happens. So getting back to what I was getting at was sort of like what a doctor is to us. So a doctor is high society to us, right? Higher society. Okay. But to this guy, the people are way higher society than him. Mm-hmm. And this guy has lightning in a bottle at home. This guy has a little taste of a hooker because he can spend money. This guy can have a little taste of a young girl if he wants now because he has a little bit more access. But the people at the party are so much higher above him. And this is where this sort of like, well, why would child sex trafficking exist? And you get into things, even rabbit hole on this, but adrenochrome, which is the extract and maybe the final result of one of the stems of what this represents. Is the sort of the adrenochrome for quickly through it is a tortured person is then drained at the Dracula shit from the neck, from the base of the spine.
The Alex Jones tunnels.
This is not. I don't know. See that dismisses it because this is real. This is something you can see it in Days.
I think it was Fear and Loathing in Las
Fear
Vegas.
and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Yeah, that's the one.
Thank you. But I mean, that's mentioned in that. There's it is. it's one of these things that's allegedly there's you could have, when the Silk Road was up, you could buy it on the Silk Road. So
well, it's a real thing.
But it's a real fucking thing. It has a Wikipedia page, adrenochrome.
But that's what I think it was going to go into the movie, like when they talk about at the beginning scene where those girls are talking about at the end of the Rainbow Road or something. Mm-hmm. I thought maybe it was talking about like after you have it all, like sexual wise, like it ends up being like
the highest taste that exists.
Because all these high
society people, once they get numb
like
to
the Bryan
everything
Singers,
else,
right? I thought it was going to be like a gay metaphor.
Okay,
like you follow that, like you get it all, and then you end up wanting like the pool full of boys and shit like that, and that's why I thought the rainbow was all for a metaphor. It was leading down like into pedophilia. It was the end of the rainbow, kind of. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what I thought that was.
Sort of where
and then like torture ends up being at the end of that rainbow even further.
The pot of gold at this thing. And it's strange that even the metaphor for us, if the common people, the metaphor for a rainbow is at the end of the rainbow there's a little person. Right? There's a fucking
like
leprechaun.
A leprechaun.
There's a leprechaun. But
still, that's interesting.
Right?
Yeah.
There's a little person. There's a little person that's treasure.
The pot of gold.
Yeah, but maybe they are the treasure. At the end of the rainbow, once you go over the rainbow, once you understand and get past childhood, once you go over the rainbow, you realize there's some fucking hard truths here.
Yeah.
And there's a reason that I think, as far as like why vampire imagery and stuff is sort of constantly sort of thrown, zombie shit, and there's strangeness to feeling to sort of all the stuff we watch of what is being said.
And I feel like it gets passed down. It gets passed down from somewhere, right? Like it originates somewhere. Like this movie, the book is originally.
Feed them this.
The book originally that this movie's based off is based in Vienna, like early 19th century Vienna. And I thought that was interesting because there's like a few scenes with like the masquerade stuff and like
which
all
would
this
have made more sense.
And that's
context.
where the high society stuff started back in the Renaissance days, like Italy stuff. Like maybe
where
that's
those
where
families.
Maybe that's where all these parties, weird shit, kind of started. Probably even before that, but this is where it really started.
The skylines at every one of the
fancy.
Cities in America is Rockefeller, are the major telecommunication tycoons. I'm drawing a blank on all of them right now.
The rich people, like the ex-cons, and like what are you talking about? The corporation.
Yeah,
people?
when you get into like the Bilderberg group and the.
I don't know the 5 richest families that rule everything. I'm not familiar with them, but I know they exist. I don't know what they're called though. That's for sure.
That stuff is just like, it's interesting.
But that's the stuff
because they meet and they exist and they do own these things.
Yeah,
and they are the richest people ever.
Well, how could they not?
And they do own islands.
Well, how could they not meet? And when they all own islands and countries, how could you not meet?
Yeah, they invest in our warfare. It's yeah. But as far as this,
they get in their big wood paneled rooms and they discuss where they hide their money. All that.
The ritual of stamping the wand and selecting the girls.
They play pool. They probably play pool.
That Eyes Wide Shut, though, I think gets into the underbelly of that movie and the half hour that was cut out of it. I think it probably had to do with more of the man's costume shop. And
the man's costume shop was weird.
You know, perhaps something.
Another scene in there. Yeah. Another scene in the mansion where he's walking around in the mask.
I think that there could have possibly been a scene
like what if
with the daughter.
Like what if he just with that daughter that
Tom Cruise now has to go back to his wife and be like, I totally just banged a kid tonight.
Or there could be another scene where he's just walking through and there could be like an auction going on. There could just be like a subtle like an auction just happen, stuff like that, you know.
Get Out.
Edit it out. Like Get Out. Like they're auctioning just girls and stuff.
Yeah.
Get Out's the best. Love Get Out. Shout out to Get Out.
Shout out to Get Out.
Shout out to Jordan Peele. Can't wait for his next movie.
Yeah.
Very excited for that. Very excited for that.
That one looks. He's a
talented guy. He's awesome. Can't wait.
There's a lot of talented dudes out there, and I hope this movie. Like, I mean, everyone was blown away with the fucking Sixth Sense, right? And then everything else Shyamalama Ding Dong did, it was garbage. Like his Split, his Glass.
I haven't liked any of his movies that I watched.
Right. Yeah. So, but I mean, everyone loved his first one. So I mean, he had a runaway home run with Get Out. I hope his next ones are good. The advertising for it looks amazing.
Us looks good.
It really looks like it's going to hold up.
Some good actors too.
It really looks like it's going to be as quality as. So I am very, very excited for that. But I'm hesitant with that kind of stuff because it's like, no, one doesn't mean. He's
got stuff on the works. He's going to be like the host of like the new X-Files or something like that.
Yeah, but I mean, this happens a lot where they do one good thing and then they get signed on with a million
he has
things and they
more good
overextend
things
themselves.
down the works.
I know you're hopeful, but
I think he's got this.
I hope he's got it.
I hope he's got this. You usually don't make stuff unless you got it.
But anyways, as far as Kubrick goes, Is there another one that you wanted to? You've mentioned that you were interested in Clockwork Orange. You should do that.
Yeah, I want to watch that because I watched the trailers of a few of them last night, and that one just the trailer was insane.
I didn't know it was rated X.
And I'm pretty sure it was rated X. That's what I read on. I read that somewhere. I don't know where I read it. I read it on the internet. But I read it somewhere. But what I was gonna say with the quality of this film, just with just the way it was shot was really good. There was just a few things that I wanted to point out. A few scenes, like the last scene when we're talking about things getting edited out and things being unfinished. The way it just ends abruptly, and apparently the last scene people say is very important because I guess it kind of sums up all the themes and everything, right?
Yeah, there's some strange dialogue and strange stuff going on with the characters in that toy store.
Definitely with weird dialogue. Definitely weird. The set that they're made in there. The set is all guys. You pointed out that there's just no children walking around in this children's toy store the entire time except for their daughter.
There's one or two kids in the very beginning, but it becomes apparent that there's not many kids here.
Yeah, definitely not very many kids there.
Yeah,
and just the way you should explain to me again because it's the way they frame it. Just the way they framed it is what I was really noticed. They had them on both sides, Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman, and these weird the weird old gentlemen are walking out of frame.
Oh,
she's framed around their bodies, and
so
they're
it's
all black.
They're walking the kids in front of them, showing them things, and the parents are talking, and sort of the dialogue between them is so limited that we know that they're having a difficult couples conversation that's hard to do in public, but they're really struggling with sort of their words are very, so it's they're saying very, very little, and so
they're trying to decide what to do next in the relationship.
What are we gonna do?
Should they break up because you went to some masquerade ball?
But we don't. They're not directly saying.
Yeah,
that.
they're not directly saying anything.
They're walking behind their child in this strange environment in this toy store with no children. They're walking behind this kid.
It's very cryptic.
It's
very cryptic seeing the way he frames some things too, and shoots back to the daughter, shoots back to them.
They're deciding what to do, and this kid's just the innocent things kind of jumping in front of it, and then the next thing you know, they're behind it, and it's the kid's in front of them, and then down the same aisle, there's these two kind of creepy men that sort of. Kind of at the beginning look at us, and then begin to sort of go in the distance of the depth of into the deep dark depths of the film.
And the way it looks,
and the kid sort of looks back at the parents, and then
weird.
looks kind of like she goes off with these two older men. She goes off into the distance, and the parents turn and look away from her, very distressed, saying it's what we had to do. It's sort of for the better of. And yes, they're speaking about the relationship, but it's also Kubrick is a master at having text and visual telling two very different stories, and so he's yes, this is a couple that's repairing their thing, but at the same time, I'm telling you as well is that these people have decided that
this is going to have long time repercussions down the road.
The trouble I got us in, I can get us out if this kid goes off with those guys, and then we're out of the trouble.
Oh, that's what she's saying. Because again, I feel like she's involved the whole time. In that scene, I feel like they're gonna veil the curtain.
There's consequences for what he did.
That she's being she's with everything. She's a head honcho with these weird people. And I thought she was gonna they were gonna spit that out.
So you're thinking there's more to the film than that.
Again the whole time. But again, they just ended abruptly, and I was like, what the fuck? But the last scene of that kid, it was 5 seconds until they ended abruptly. They're in the silhouettes of those guys when they leave. It looks like they get sucked. She gets literally sucked right out of the parents' lives.
Yeah,
and they're almost forgotten about instantly.
Yeah,
it's super weird the way it's that. Really, that's a powerful shot. The way he was able to frame that, and really spoke to me.
I wonder if you get in trouble with clipping stuff like that in. But if you could clip just that last little.
I don't know how to clip stuff.
Oh really?
I don't know how people do that, but I will. I'm gonna look.
If there's any video editors out there that want to help someone out on Vancouver Island, give us a shout.
I really don't know how they do that. Because I made a video just recording stuff, and they just muted all my shit. They mute my stuff, and they get in there and they fuck it up.
Who's they?
Yeah, well, who's the YouTube people, the Facebook people?
What do you mean they get into your shit?
When I upload videos, they can mute parts of it that they don't like.
Oh, if you use a music bit that's not allowed, they can just take the audio.
They can just take it out, or they can take out the whole.
The algorithm for music is really, really, really well done. Apparently.
Yeah, it's very strange.
Yeah. They'd be like, no, we took this hunk of
audio. So I don't know how you would get someone else's, like, a part of someone else's movie and put it in there. You know what I mean?
But people do it all the time. Like, review and, like, this
People do it all the time. It's very strange.
Yeah, like Red Letter Media. How do you get away with...
I don't know.
How do you do that?
Like, maybe there's a rule, like, you can only have 7 seconds, and then you have to stop. And then, like, you can go back and have put another
7.01 seconds.
Like, I really don't know how it works. But when they muted my video for the Contact Festival that I went to, I was really upset.
Oh, the whole thing got muted?
No, only a few parts, but there were parts that I really liked, and right away when I saw that it got muted, I got angry and I turned the whole thing off. So not a lot of it was muted, but
censor me, the man.
There were
you felt the man for a moment. You felt the man. Oh, we did?
No, I just had to start this recording again. Because you know how it is.
Oh yeah, so it'll go to like your StratOCast screen and come back kind of thing?
No, because I can edit back to that one because I can use my phone too because I'm a smart man.
You're a smart man.
I try to be.
Look at you.
Yeah, but overall, I'm glad we watched this movie. And but I wish I got to see the whole thing. I wish I got. Apparently, there's an uncut version. But again, it probably just doesn't. It's an uncut, like unedited version that they didn't alter like the regular scenes, but it still doesn't have like the rest of the movie that he wanted to put in there.
That half hour that was cut has never been seen by
him. That's never been seen.
Yeah,
but there's an uncut version still of the movie that was released in 2006.
It's absolutely apparent that it gets, because I mean he even did Lolita. I believe that was him as well.
Lolita, he did Lolita. That was like one of his first movies. I feel like.
And again gets in that topic of how very, very wealthy people... I mean, Elvis married a kid underage, and it's like, it's something that's just like, it's so...
prevalent.
Yeah.
Very prevalent in our culture and society.
And then just kind of disappeared, and it's like, but it's still there. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh yeah, totally, but...
And this movie just shows it. It just shows everything.
Child bride.
Yeah.
There's language that disappeared. Child bride. They just want to glaze over. It's like, no, you can only use 140 characters. So it's like you don't realize that it's like, no, there's a big dictionary out there that if you can only use a few words, there's so many that they can hide from you. And like, you know, pedophilia is almost a brand new word. That thing's like 1950 something when that word's coined.
Really?
Because it was like known as like
regular sex.
No, it was like child mischief was what you get a thing for.
I think I've heard that term.
Child mischief.
Ugh,
you were touching little kids at the playground in 1949 and you get a ticket for child mischief and that man's a pervert. And it's like, that's yesterday shit that never went away. That when people are like, when I'm like, you take your kid to Santa, I just think it's weird. I'm immediately skeptical. I'm the minority, and I'm fine. But I really am skeptical of like Easter Bunny guys, and just because it's just like,
how could you not be? Who wants
that job?
Who wants to do that?
Who wants that job?
Nobody.
The guy with the heroin problem can hardly get himself to go to like something decent-ish like A&W to make onion rings. He can't even get there.
Yeah.
Who's applying to be a fucking Easter Bunny and have kids sit on them all day?
Yeah.
I just think it's like there's something like, okay, what? That should be no, it was a fake ad because that's creepy. Like,
yeah,
I want to touch strangers behind a mask. You never get to see who I am, and I get to touch your kids. Weird. You pick up little girls by their little rib cages. Weird. You know, they're really touchy. I remember being a kid, and they were always really just hands-on with you. And being like, nope.
Well, I remember a few teachers...
Why are you touching me?
I remember a few teachers back in grade school being particularly strange. And touchy in weird ways.
Huggy and touchy and just like stop
I remember
it.
one of my teachers making us give him hugs. Straight up.
See?
Like, there's some weird shit.
There's so
and
much.
I knew it was
shit.
fucked at the time. Like, this is fucked.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's almost like if you have this sickness, this is the vampire culture that runs your judges and your cops. Like, this is my deepest fantasy, is that it's like, this is how interconnected it is. When you have this sickness, you're sort of brought into the brotherhood that's like, look, you either join us or you're just another person that sort of got in an accident, brother. But, I mean, this is how this works. We got a good thing going here. And it's like, if you're some high-ranking thing that sort of confesses that it's...
Did you watch the Joey Diaz podcast on Christmas Eve, right?
Not all of it.
Did you get to the part where he talks about Marilyn Monroe?
No.
Oh, really? Well, like, they end up talking about Marilyn Monroe and how Joey Diaz, and he's just, like, saying how passed around she was. And he's like, she was married to Mickey Mantle. Like, she was passed around to mob bosses, like JFK, like everyone. She's like saying she was a fucking Me Too, guys. She was a fucking Me Too. She was passed a fucking round.
Let me tell you, dog.
She was the first fucking Me Too, the original. And he was just going into that and like how they just destroyed her, and like there's just all that going on. Yeah. Not just the pedophilia stuff, but definitely a thing. But like these
generally, once you're at that place, once you're Anne Hathaway, once you're Miley Cyrus, once you're you're brought up through it. You're sort of a kid through this thing. You're taken by the old men at the toy store, and you've been exposed to this stuff your whole life. And so you're passed around. So you're not being like complaining the whole time. You're complicit. You can be handed off. You can put on different faces. You can play the part and do it well, and we have a fantastic life because of that. But I own your sexual prowess. That power that is the sexual body, and the dominance they have over the people who make the most powerful decisions. This gives them the most power, but as long as you keep them under our control, this is how this whole power thing works. As far as like how and why this structure exists, is to sort of keep these white old men feeling important, kind of. It's a sort of like it's eyes wide shut. And there what this fucking thing is.
So many old, like really like actual like old white men that are just in control of everything, and they really are just like they're old. They're just set in their ways, and it's disgusting. Like how old, like even like the president, all these politicians, they're all so old all the time, and it just freaks me out that we can't get out of this old system.
And some of these judges live to like 100.
Yeah, stuff like that. Like they've been doing it forever. Like the same way.
And then science tells you that it's like, when you take the blood out of young mice and you put young mice blood in old mice, it makes the old mice arthritis go down. It makes them live longer. So really, some vampire shit happens when you take young blood and put it matching blood types young and old. Yes, it really does do amazing things. And then we know adrenochrome exists, and we know that this sort of blood sacrifice ritual goes back to
That's my argument. I feel like we know all these things exist. We know torture exists.
So vampirism, these old white men who live alone in castles and lived for fucking ever, very likely drinking the blood of children.
Yeah.
Period.
That makes sense.
This is what here's
what are the stories there for?
As far as what red pill you're swallowing with all this is like, no, blood sacrifice rituals, child sex trafficking are the some of the upper tastes of a select few of the elite. Not every single one of these assholes do this in my view, but it is on the menu, like for how poor people we have weed.
And it also seems like a bloodline thing. It's like a bloodline thing. Like you can't like one of us can't crack in there like Tom Cruise did. Otherwise we get fucked.
Is it your taxi cab outside?
Because it's you're born into it, or you're chosen because like these people these rich high society people a lot of the time, like in Hollywood and stuff, they live in like these crazy gated communities, right? It's almost like a feudal network where like there's bloodlines in there now, and those are the people that are going to those kinds of things. Not the help in the places, but the bloodline part, and they just stay so close knitted all the time.
Yeah,
and then they just mate with.
You might marry in, but once you've been groomed and approved, crazy. That's how. Once you've been approved by.
A wall of wealth.
Okay, so imagine take Diana's kids, Princess Diana's boys, the last one that just got married. Do you think that they can just find someone on Twitter and date them?
Stuff like that.
It's like there's so much grooming that goes into being like you gotta have no dirt on you.
Like for something like that, and there's a wall of wealth that regular people have to get through to get to a Princess Diana's kids.
Yeah,
like
and that's
like
just
they don't use Tinder or something. They would have to get like an app that would be like $500,000 a year to even use the app to talk to these famous. There'd be like a celebrity dating app that you have to spend like a fortune on. You know what I mean? To be able to talk to them in that sense.
Yes, okay.
That's what it would be like.
That. Yeah,
it's the same way to get into the country club that costs $1 million every month. Stuff like that.
They have annual fees of like $300,000.
That are ridiculous that no one can ever pay.
But the only black people on there serve drinks, sleep there, and their mommy and their grandmommy and their great grandmommy have all worked on this property for the great creepy. Master Jones.
And that's the get
so
out
Master
stuff.
Jones is, and it's like this stuff is fucking weird. Sports is fucking weird.
Sports is weird.
When you get into sort of how they owned black people for like 250 years. Mm-hmm. You owned them. They were property on that thing. They were
South
denied.
Park did this really well.
Fuck, man. It's fascinating when you get into just how weird that place is. How it started, what it was. You know, it was like 1 in 3 people fucking made it when you come across. Yeah. So it's like you have a 30% chance of losing everything. So the cowboy mentality that seeds North America from England. So you're desperate and you got a little bit of cowboy in you. So we're built by Han Solos that want to deny the Catholic Church but still understand the power structure that the Catholic Church. So they use a lot, like they want to separate church and state, but they want to sort of master both. And so they allow it and they allow the freedoms of that, but not to overthrow this, because the way that and so what these guys sort of chisel out and build is not sort of this clean palette innocent thing. It's old. It's as old as it gets when it gets to like where they're from and who like the how present the Dutch are here, how present Nazism is here, like how much of Europe is
a lot of resurgence of these things.
Yeah, and how present a lot of this stuff is. America is very, very much like Europe, but Europe gets to claim that it's different nations, and so they get tied up in the details of being these lines in the sand of significance, but it's about the same body of land and about the same flavors of personalities fighting about the same-ish topics. And it really is, there's so many similarities. But when you live over here, you're far away from over there. So all you hear about is one place. But when you're in England, all you're hearing about is all the noise, but it's the same noise. It's the same cheating, the lying, the stealing, the same crazy people getting voted in. It's the same noise. So once you learn it's the same shit, and this is a sort of fish food you're fed to keep you distracted from things like Eyes Wide Shut, from things like sitting in your free time and flushing out pedophiles.
Because you know what? It's tough to get to things like Eyes Wide Shut.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? Like, I've been wanting to watch this movie for a long time, like quite a long time. And it's tough for me to even actually get down, make the time, and actually get to it and watch this little window in front of me that shows the other side. And
can I tell you, I call
these
things
get in front.
This thing, if I may, this is what I call an Alcatrazism.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Okay.
So an Alcatraz was one of the only prisons in the American prison system, which is the most people in prison in all of the world. Is what America is 25% of the world's prison population in the land of the free. Okay? So in this prison population, Alcatraz is the only place that gets hot showers. Surrounded by the cold waters. Yeah. San Francisco right there. So if you did escape, you're going to be in frigid cold waters, and it's going to be very, very difficult. You're probably going to get hypothermia and turn back.
Yeah.
So successful thing to give them hot showers. So you cleanse you give them cake, right? This is what they've done. You've been cleansed on Michael Bay and fucking and Transformers and anime, and we've been cleansed in these things that are just boom and wah, right? And you're like, I want to watch a crazy movie, and I'm like, dude, it's crazy, but it's subtle, it's tasteful, it's classy.
But John Wick 2.
Exactly, but John Wick too.
Exactly.
You're like, he should shoot everyone. He should fucking kung fu everyone. And it's like, dude, that's not what this movie is.
I know.
This movie is just, it's a classy, subtle, creepy, eerie. It's mood. It's beautiful.
Yeah,
it's a symphony.
And those things draw you in.
But I mean, when you say it's hard to take time to watch something slow because you've been Alcatrazed with boom kapow. And I want to watch Marvel movies all the time. But
exactly.
There's movies like Conspiracy that have just a laundry list of actors in it that is a movie about the decisions the Germans were making with how to deal with the Jews and sort of the decision to make death camps, the sort of the think tank that went into how do we solve this problem. It's like, and you realize if we do this, we'll be like the discussion, because it's really humans making that decision.
Yeah.
The idea that they're a faceless war machine is sort of, movies like that become important because it's like, oh my God, how much more complicated it becomes. But yeah, once you get in a group of a lot of people, you can get carried away because but fortunately we can know that the presidency really does, like, as far as America goes, presidency is kind of a fallacy. We've learned from Bush's thing that vice president can sort of, like, he's driving the tank. The president is the tank. Okay, but there's a guy on the gun.
Who's driving the tank?
There's a guy driving. There's a guy controlling.
Like a puppet.
There's like 5 dudes inside of the tank. And so anytime you see the president, he's been make-upped, he's been groomed, he's been speeched, he's been wired. He's the Kermit the Frog has the hand in and he's ready to go. So the fact that the illusion thing that's created with the news is people think that Walter Cronkite knows the state of he knows. It's Ron Burgundy. It's this thing that's not a real person. but it looks like a real person and it acts like a real person, but it has to be a teleprompter, and we know that this is a tank. There's 5 people behind whoever with
and they're not thinking for themselves.
And
then when the camera's
they're not
off,
allowed.
You know they're stupid, like a Ron
You
Burgundy.
have to be able to sort of have posture, have beautiful legs, and read the teleprompter.
Yeah.
And people will be like, I trust her. I like her outfit, and she had nice shoes.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, Jesus, like this is what you're up against.
That's exactly how it is.
It is Wall-E.
I was getting reminded of these kinds of things in town when we have these Tony Harris posters all over town right now because there's an election coming up for mayor or something like that. And I just get reminded of all this election shit. Like, he's the only sign that I see, so I know he's gonna win for sure. Why?
Just because he's
just for getting people, prompting people up for popularity contests and shit. You know.
Do those posters work?
There's the only thing that can work. I've always said that they should be those guys should be social media marketing, which I actually, on Instagram, I saw this guy on Instagram, so I'm like, this guy's definitely going to win now, because I've seen him on the streets and in my Instagram feed. But I'm not going to vote, so.
No.
But I know he's going to win.
Huh.
I know it.
I just think I always see those posters and I don't believe they work. I think they
work.
They can't, because like
people read them. They're getting people's attention.
I have one big one, then I put 2 medium ones in front of my big one, then I'm going to put 5 little ones in front of all the other ones, and it's like you put 17 signs up in one spot with just your name on it.
I know we don't vote.
This is so
but
weird.
Think about the people that subscribe to the religion of voting and politics.
Yeah, no, I follow that.
All they are able to see is that one name everywhere they go for the last 2 months, and then when they get to the room of the ballots, they're like, so uneducated, all they can do is the one thing. Yeah. Exactly, go Leafs.
Yeah. Go my team.
Go Clippers.
And so it's like, I'm seeing my team everywhere. I like seeing my team in all my neighborhood. Yeah, my neighborhood's voting for my team.
And he's a liberal. And so I think everybody thinks they're liberal.
Everyone is everything.
Everyone thinks they're liberal these days, so they're going to vote for him. This guy's going to win. That's all I'm saying.
Sure.
So I don't know how we got to that exactly. We're just talking about politics.
Yeah, let me vote from my house. Bullshit. Let me, if I can do everything else really.
If I can bang from my house, I can vote from my house.
Yeah. It seems very silly that I have to then go to a school and write on paper for who I want to be in control of the money of who tends to the sidewalks in my neighborhood.
Yeah.
You know? It's like I'm not generating children. I'm going to watch. I'm not going to participate in it. And when it continues to fall apart, maybe more people will go with the non-participation badge. Be like, no, the way you just don't participate in it. See, just really, let's see what happens if.
That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to take that route.
What happens if we sort of let people who are really concerned with it be involved with it? But if we just tell everyone to be involved with it, what you get is you get a lot of sheep people, and sheep people can be controlled and swayed through essentially AI bots on social media, on platforms that can sort of target you and get you centralized and hyper focused on issues that no one was really concerned with.
Yeah, it's very.
And gets you pulled in the. And so it's like, if you allow everyone a voice, it gets so noisy that assholes take the room because they just play the room. Whereas if you made it like, okay, no, you can vote in your country. See, I like the idea that I don't have to vote, that I can vote. If I need to vote, I can go and vote. Mm-hmm. But I think that voting should be done like children through a license, where you show that you know kind of what the fuck is being talked about.
That too.
Not just, I like the guy who's white because he's a black guy and I hate niggers. And it's like, okay, what? That's allowed? No.
Yeah, and that is allowed.
You know?
Yeah, and
it's crazy. Kids that are really concerned with it can't vote because they're underage. Convicts who are almost exclusively black people in America, if you serve any time, you don't get a vote. So isn't that fun? But they're also, that the slaves can't vote still.
There could be some literally some straight up smart 10-year-olds that could vote.
That if you can pass the test, that kid should be allowed to vote in my view.
No
absolutely, because they're 10-year-olds smarter than 40-year-olds. Mm-hmm.
Totally.
So it should just be a license. Like, you have to give a shit. And so then you see, okay, how many people give a shit? And then we get kind of a real number of like, no, in Canada, we have 30 million people and there's 16,000 registered voters. We'd be like, yeah, that's probably who cares. That's probably, in my view, as many people as who cares. This is like, who would go and get a license to do it? There's always one person in the group that's like always yakking about what the news was saying, and there's always, it's interesting. And yeah, it matters. Get involved, get the right people involved, but have less interruptions with all the dum-dums that get involved. Who just, like, they're wearing the stupid red hats, and they gather in numbers.
This hat thing has
they're putting tiki torches
recently.
because there's a lot of idiots. And when you allow anyone to have a voice, podcasts like this happen.
Shout out to the internet.
Shout out internet.
Shout out. God damn shout out.
When you rule our lives one day, understand I was very polite to you.
We're trying to do we're just trying to spread ideas.
Yeah.
There's some good ideas that we think are good ideas anyway. Not trying to pander to the assholes. We're trying not to pander to the room.
Yeah.
Is what we're not trying to do. We're trying to make our own room. And what we're trying to do is start our own commune, in a sense.
Amen.
Eventually, we want to get to the commune, but we're just trying to spread some like-minded ideas. Hopefully, people get it.
When we make the stone rules,
that's what people.
Rule one's got to be the day when rules. The stone rules got to say something like, if the dude in charge starts asking for your wife, we need to start questioning the dude in charge.
Yeah.
Because once it turns to him fucking all the women, as every cult seems to, is like, okay, now we slipped off the edge. Power has made him sick.
Well, I've been listening to some Chris Ryan.
Which gets back to Eyes Wide Shut, because that's what that shit is.
Right? The polygamous, though. Everybody was polygamous back then, apparently. I've been listening to a lot of Chris Ryan, and I'm watching, what's it called? Wild Wild Country, where these people just have these giant sex cults, and everybody fucks each other's wives, and they all have a great time. But for the first little while I was watching that, I'm like, this cult, they're doing nothing wrong. They're just having a great time. Nobody should bother them. They're great people. And then everybody starts bothering them. All the white people that live in this stupid white town just sort of like, oh, these people, they're not the same. They're basically just so angry.
Christians.
They're just so angry at the fact that they're different than them.
Yep.
It's never been more apparent that it's
very
crazy.
Easy to do.
And they just get so up in arms about it. They just start defending their town like it's their life.
Yeah.
Like their life depends on it. And these people are just invading the whole world, the whole country. And it ends up being this whole thing because they are the ones that end up exploding into what it is. But, yeah, that's
Wild World Country.
Have you seen that?
No, I've missed that one.
You'd like it.
Netflix?
Netflix. It's all
How
right on
many
Netflix.
seasons?
Just one, but like it's 6 episodes.
Nice.
And it's like every episode's like 2 hours long.
Logan was talking about that for a while.
Yeah, him and Ari both. He's brought it up like a lot actually recently because it's really, really good.
Huh.
It's super interesting. There's like the Osho figure, like the brown guy with the long beard, but then there's his secretary, and she is like a badass. She's like
this was a cult in Oregon, right?
Yes.
I have watched documentaries on this thing.
Dude, it's fucking crazy.
Yes. And the woman running that thing, she does crazy shit with
Sheila.
She's
nuts.
E. coli at a salad bar or something, doesn't she?
Well, they end up trying to poison people.
Oh my god, I know this one.
Yeah, they had their own airport.
Okay, yes.
It's wild.
I didn't know they made that into a show. I know that from fucking... Yeah. Okay, cool.
It's the coolest shit.
Yeah, crazy, hey?
The coolest shit.
They came over from India. They played to the white kids in Oregon with that, like, Eastern, like, yoga's the way to solve all your problems.
Like I said, they were doing good things.
They were doing some good things.
They were doing some really good things.
And then they realized,
some really bad things started happening too.
Holy shit, we could make an empire here. Kind of got on into them. Yeah.
It was the weirdest shit I've ever...
Because, I mean, the town was like, you can't do it, you can't be here, and so then they
bought the town. They started buying land.
Didn't they bus homeless people in to vote?
That too. They started busing homeless people all in from all over the country to come to their city
like
so they can vote.
A couple hundred homeless people to sway the elections, so to make sure that the law passed that they could stay.
Yeah.
Like, really, yeah, that one was neat. But it's
super neat.
All sorts of, like, so okay, so that happens. Where the Jonestown is another interesting one where you get into...
What I was saying is that, I don't know what I was saying, but we need to start our own cult. But we just don't have sex with each other.
Jonestown's another cult,
unless
right?
We
so
want
another thing that's like, that has to be on the stone rules. So it's like, no having one guy fuck all the women. Okay?
Unless we decide otherwise. You never know. Like, unless there's like one day of the week where we swing. You know, like I said.
Okay, no. That's gonna be a mark against you when it comes for presidency later.
I don't want to be president.
That's on camera.
I don't want to be president. I just want to be the filmmaker.
Okay, and the other one is no stockpiling weapons.
Yeah, that's what they ended up doing.
Because once you start stockpiling weapons, you get on a lot of people's radar of like,
Yeah, however...
You're not allowed to have a little army going on.
However, it's like, don't we need weapons to defend ourselves?
Yeah, don't you need weapons when you have... new ideas to defend.
Like, if we're way out there and there's bears and wolves, and then the end of the world happens, so we'll need weapons. That's bullshit. We need some weapons, so we need all these things.
A few good long-range rifles and a lot of ammunition.
There you go.
A lot of ammunition.
Lots of machetes.
Yeah, well, I mean, gardening equipment.
Spears.
I think instead of exactly the metal making things, you need to be able to have like a forgery.
Yeah,
you need to be able to sort of have a kiln where we can melt and make ore, like pour our own steel. Have all the equipment to do that kind of shit, and like that's the kind of you want to be able to make as much shit as you can there and live as bare. You want to make your own blades. You want to make your you want to do that shit.
Yeah, then you're living.
There's no running to Home Depot, you know. Yeah. Everything is like when the table breaks, you burn it and you make a new table.
Yeah. That's the ultimate sell. So if anybody wants to join our commune, in the next 25 years, we'll probably be having it built.
I need a really elaborate treehouse for some of my toys.
In the next 15, 25 years, we'll be getting this commune built. StratOCast is where it starts. And, the
StratOCult.
Yeah, the StratOCult. That's funny. But we're going to wrap it up here because we're getting pretty long. But Eyes Wide Shut.
Thanks for sitting through
all this. I liked Eyes Wide Shut. It was great. It's just a good, like I said, a good window into the other side of the high society.
Every Kubrick movie is a good book and a fantastic film. So if you want something to read on a train one day, just anything Kubrick made in a movie. Eyes Wide Shut, Clockwork Orange, 2001. They're all just the most fantastic.
We should do a few more of these because I kind of want to start doing more of this stuff.
Brilliant books and then movies by Kubrick that are also brilliant films.
I want to start doing more of this kind of stuff where we watch like a film or we kind of watch a podcast or we read a book or a comic book.
If anyone actually sits through this and has a recommend for something you want us to sit through and yak about, if there's a movie or a show you want us to talk about, let us know.
Put it in the comments. Put anything in the comments.
That'd be neat.
Ever puts anything in the comments.
I'd be happy to do that.
And I would be happy to do that.
If you felt there was something like you watched a movie once and it was like there was something weird in that movie, let us know what you thought that was because I might have totally agreed with you and explore that rabbit hole.
That's a good point. We have a small audience right now, so if anyone wants any value at all, just shoot it in the comments. And I will make a video.
We'll make your wishes come true.
Dedicated strictly to you. Yeah, because I can do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's fun. Yeah. Okay, this has been fun. This has been a good conversation.
We'll do more of these.
And thanks for letting me use your setup.
Well, we have lots of sets. We can use any angle in this place, and we can make a lot of shows in here. So I hope we can make a lot more of these.
It's all about angles.
So peace.
Thanks,
guns.
Logan. Guns. Boom. Fist. Boom. Guns. We're out. Thanks, bud. Off.
I like how our volume in the beginning starts at talking, and by the end we're both like shouting.